pe I hua mai hatu e. He tawhi e whia he ahoko e. O ka papuna ai I kare. O te hiki a te he no whako e. I he langa mo e whakalaka laka. Ola mana ia mana o hikasa. Kuini sa lo te Welcome to the Bridges Party. Introducing Living Love Band live from the Bangladesh Samoa. All the way from the big island of Hawaii. Hey! Warm it up, warm it up. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Hey, hey, hey. Warm it up, warm it up, warm it up. Ready to launch. Yes, man. Say, 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 say. Yes, second lady. Hey, 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 hey. Okay. Living Love Band. Hey. So my, so my. Move it up, move it up. So my, so my. Move it, move it. So my, so my. So my, so my. Shake it. Lue mai, lue mai. Shake, shake, shake. Lue mai, lue mai. Lue mai, lue mai.
Yes, papita, wakapende, bicho ponche. Opishi kikoshe ponte ponce. We get this Latina, your this is Montina. We make this got the whole bar on tree. They can relax between the one, in the living way back in the criminal war. Come on, chip on my last shot in the whole crew crash. Shoot them in the light, middle of the club show. I run up like a winner, let the clap below like a kitty chicken and a slow bow. Wow, wow. Chimney balada, she never see yaha. And it keeps his soul to see lala. To do the cha-cha, they call me Baba. For action, not until we yada. Give an eye of passion, we fly. See the life, I like the north side.
So my, so my.
Move it, move it.
So my, so my. Turn it up, turn it up. So my.
Yeah, VOS Pacific Broadcast.
Welcome to the Pacific Islanders broadcast, a voice of South Pacific from Seattle, Washington. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And today is Thursday, June 12th of 2025. Thank you. We have this great topic, which is sponsored from Seattle, King County Public Health. This is one of the great topic, and it's very relevant, for our audience and also our communities abroad to be aware of the PFAS chemicals that we're dealing with on our everyday life. As culturally, before we continue on, I would like to ask this opportunity to Pastor Pauline Wakuvu to, please just lead us with a short word of prayer. And then thank you so much, Danielle, for waiting. We're still running on the Pacific time. Okay, Paulina, please
Thank
lead
you.
us with a word of prayer so we can continue on as we have our special guests, that are waiting for us to start.
Thank you. Let us pray. Compassionate, ever living God, we humble ourselves before you this morning with heart full of thanks and praises. Thank you for the opportunity to learn more about very poisonous and the healthy lifestyle. We pray for all those whom you have blessed to be a blessing to us today. We leave this meeting to you. May honor and glory be yours. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Paulina, with the word of prayer and blessing our program as we continue on. As our topic today, I want everybody to be aware that PFAS and chemical, and we have the specialists that are with us today, is Taniel. And I want to give this opportunity to her as we continue on. I will say something in our native language. Pastor Paulina is from the islands of Fiji. And we have several, like even Lupe Talamoni from the islands of Samoa. And I'm from the islands of Tonga. And we have a few others that are with us today. But I would like to say something in our native language. Kai ngā tonga, mō kātaka kau mai ke porokalama mau inga upito ke tau ilo. Pea tau ausia, ai ngahi whahinohino koe ni o ku tau whe ao pepe mo ngahi mea koe ni koe kemikale o ku newe sia lahi whake tau mo i o whatupai mo i kansa mo i ngahi whootua kekehe ko i ngā ke tau lava whamama o me ai ke tau koni ke tau whanonga whakaaho. Ka ko ia, I will say something, you know, like in our Tongan language, and I did, and ask Pastor Paulina just like maybe 10 seconds to say what is the topic in Fijian language, and also Lupe, you know, so your audience, you know, can tune in and know what exactly are we discussing today.
Sounds great.
Pastor Paulina?
Ia, ni mula bina kana lewe wiki ni sama cuma na program ngo na Pasifika na ulutanga e tauritingo ni ko na kambaleta na vei wainga nga e so ke na tiko mbula PFAS, chemicals and healthy lifestyle. Ni taka ni na wararongo te mai ke tuna nom ni ba tataro ni rawa ni bola te umai na chat he tokangori binak sakabali. Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and next is Lupe Talamani. Could you please unmute and say something about the chemicals in the Samoan language?
Thank you, Ms. Sylvia. Taro whalawhana tunu Samoa, ki Kani Public Health Samoa Navigator o Lupe Talamoni. O le name ta upul nei a solo tala noina e whatau nga i wara au ese solo i tonu o peo whangvai o me ese whapena ro tatu whaongaina. O le a tatu tala noina e te mai ta ia Tania Sabin. Ai o lo o te ia te mai ta ia Sylvia po Fatima Aho. Ia male awa lawa tawai, tun i mai, whai mai se siri pe awhina ngalo i ai, male awa tawai, whaftai. Thank you, Sylvia.
Whawhetai, malo Lupe. And I'm looking at this name here. Is that this is an islander's name, Siu Tolua? Siu?
Yes, I invited him as well.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much. And, our audience that are tuning in, they were asking that they would like, some younger generation audience to tune in. So that way the young people and the upcoming generation could be aware that how are we dealing with the PFAS and the chemicals in our everyday life. Okay. This opportunity, I would like to pass it on to the specialist that we're working with tonight, Daniel Sabin. Daniel, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more, about the type of work that you do with the King County Public Health? Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you so much. And thank you for providing the space and the opportunity to be able to talk about this information to your communities. I'm very grateful for that. And I am like you, that a couple of years ago, I didn't know very much about a lot of these topics. My name is Tennille Sabin. I have my own community-based organization for the Latino community that's called Crece Conmigo, which means grow with me. And we serve a lot of Latino families in education, in health, and well-being, and just overall sharing information in the community. And so our group got involved in Public Health King County's initiative for lead and toxics a couple years ago. And the first thing is we started learning about lead and all of the other toxic things that are in products. And so for the most part, we worked as groups and tried to figure out how we can best get this information out to all of the communities, because it was a group of lots of different organizations. And so we have been doing testing events where people can bring their products and we can tell them if something has high levels of leads or not. We have had different community workshops where we can teach families and community members about this. We also have worked with childcare centers so that they can share the information to families and know safe practices. And then also we've done a lot of different outreach, especially for my organization in the Latino community, in Spanish media and social media, to kind of get the word out about what things are safe and what things are have the most risk.
Thank you so much, Danielle, for clarifying and the important work that you're dealing with. So I'd like to give the first question to, Pastor Paulina. Can you ask, what is a question that you have related to the chemicals?
Okay, since Sylvia have already told us the invitation of children, I would like to ask this question. What should someone do if they think their child is at risk of lead poisoning?
Well, the best thing to do is to talk to the primary care provider or the doctor or the pediatrician, because really the only way to find out if a person has high lead levels or if a child has lead levels is to do a blood test. And so that can typically only be done in community health clinics or with their primary care provider. And it's actually recommended that all children at 12 months, at 24 months, especially those that are on Medicaid, receive that test, even if they don't have other factors or some of the other risks involved. Just having the fact that they are receiving Medicaid and of those age groups, it's recommended. And actually, the federal government has actually made it a requirement, even though Washington state providers are not following through with that as they should.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Medicaid. Maybe this is a question to Sylvia as well. Is there anything, preserved for the Pacific for those who are not under Medicaid?
I would think any provider, these tests are typically covered by any kind of insurance. There are community health clinics that provide free or low cost services as well, but usually any kind of insurance that they receive, whether from their employer or other organizations or other healthcare systems, usually is covered by those insurances.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for answering those questions. And next, welcome. I have one of the leaders here in the younger generation. She is going to have her commencement at the UW, University of Washington, and I was with her Department of Geography yesterday. It's Leslie Tonga Kamoto. Leslie, if you have any, just take some time, but if you have anything to ask about, like she's representing our younger generation in the PI. If you have anything, to share about, something important about to be aware of the chemicals, that we're dealing with, especially with the younger generation, like something that, someone that do if they think their child is at risk of leading poisoning or anything about the chemicals. Leslie?
Well, I could share. Could also share kind of the most common sources or where the items or products that have typically higher levels of lead as well, if you would be interested in that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm sure, and she loves, to tune in, to listen in, a big congratulations to her at the Department of Geography at the convocation yesterday. That's where she is graduating with, and commencement is on this coming up Saturday, the ceremony at the Husky Stadium. Yeah. But I'm so glad that she's able to join us, today with our PFAS chemical. Okay, anytime that ready, just raise your hand, Leslie. Okay. Go, Leslie.
I don't really know too much about the whole lead thing. Just because I'm not really much of a STEM major or anything science related, but I do know that it does affect a lot of people, and it has long-term health effects, and especially with Pacific Islander communities, those health effects are a lot more detrimental because of our lack of access to health resources and our lack of knowledge of the resources available to us. But yeah, I'm just glad that we have this. resource here to let us know about all the things available to us that we can use to kind of spread more awareness.
Yeah, those are all the things that you mentioned are definitely true. And even those that don't study or are not aware of the public health risks, a lot of your average people don't know about these things because they assume that lead was kind of gotten rid of in the 80s, that we're not as at risk today. It's something that is naturally occurring. It's in the ground, so it is also kind of hard to filter it out of a lot of the products that we use and food as well. It is very toxic, and especially to children. Even in very small amounts. So there's no safe amount of lead because even very small amounts can have an effect on a child's development, on their nervous system, can cause damage to their organs. Adults can also be affected. They can have high blood pressure, issues with fertility, or if a woman is pregnant, her child could be born with birth defects or be born early. And then also, we know that King County has one of the lowest childhood testing rates in the whole nation. So kids are getting tested a lot less in King County than the rest of most of the rest of the nation when they have done comparisons.
Anything else that you wanted to share, Leslie? In the meantime?
Nothing related to the lead topic. I feel like she covered it all pretty well.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. In the meantime, there is a question, about what are some of the common sources of lead that have been linked to lead poisoning in children?
Yeah, that is a great question. And that is how we can protect ourselves, by knowing where it's coming from so that we can make sure to either avoid some of those products or just take precautions. So lead-based paint is still in a lot of houses. Over 50% of houses in King County still have paint that is based in lead, which they prohibited or they made illegal in 1978, but a lot of homes still have that. And so just knowing that can also help protect our little ones and our families, to keep them away from areas where the paint might be chipping, or make sure that if we are going to repaint, to get a contractor that can paint in a safe way so that the dust or any of the paint chips and things like that are not going back into our environment. And some kids, because of the way that paint is, some kids like to chew on it, and it can also be on some toys, even plastic toys, which a lot of people think it's just on painted like wooden toys, but it can also be in plastic toys. And there's not a lot of laws that are right now protecting people who are buying toys and things to be able to know if a toy or an item is safe. Something that is also very common source of lead is aluminum cookware. So any kind of pots and pans that are made of aluminum or have an aluminum base. So even nonstick pans or ceramic pans, they have a coating over the top, but underneath it is aluminum. So anytime we make a little scratch or something on there, those harmful chemicals or harmful lead could be getting into the food that we eat. Something also is ceramics and pottery. When we did the testing events, almost all of the ceramics and pottery that they tested had very high levels of lead. And it's not the actual ceramics, it's usually the varnish or the covering or the coating or the paint that they use over the top that has the high lead content. And so when you put food in those items or put a beverage or a drink, then you are making it so that that lead is kind of spilling into the food that you're eating. And another thing is sometimes candies. So I'm not sure in the Pacific Islander community, but I know in the Latino community and some Asian communities, they have candies for children that have either
Right.
chili or tamarind or certain salt that can also be dangerous, especially if it's coming from another country and it hasn't gone through the testing process that they typically have here for things produced in the United States.
Okay, thank you so much. That's wonderful to hear that. It's kind of give us, an awareness, of what we're dealing with, and we're not even really know that it's very harmful. One of the questions, too, that a person is not joining with us, but they text me asking, oh, I see the hands up. Is that Lupe?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Lupe, go ahead.
Sorry, Ms. Sabin. I don't want it to get away from the topic that you provided. Thank you for the information that you're sharing. It's very helpful. But since you mentioned aluminum pots and pans, it can be a source of lead poisoning. Just by listening, I have aluminum pots for the other families that are going through with right now, and I'm pretty sure they're not understanding for what's going on at home. So, what's your advice or takeaway for them? They can help them stay alert on that right now. What should they do with those at home?
The best thing to do would be to stop using them. That would be the safest because all of the aluminum pans that we tested had very high levels of lead. And it's not that aluminum has lead, it's that something happens during the production process where lead gets in there and it's kind of melting down lots of different kinds of metals, especially if they're being imported from other places. So the safest would be to use stainless steel pans or cast iron pans. Those have been considered the most safe. Sometimes they're going to cost a little bit more. However, they're not going to have the toxic effects that maybe nonstick or some of these aluminum pans would when we're cooking, because it's going straight into the food that we're cooking. So we want to prevent that.
So much.
You're very welcome. That's a great question.
Okay. I was going to read off a text, that came from somebody about like going to the store about the food. They said those are organic. Does it matter, if it's organic, you don't deal with chemicals, or please can you clarify that? Because I only eat organic, the food that come from organic market.
My understanding, and Panay can correct me, my understanding is that even though it's organic, that does not reduce or provide safer food that is free from lead. It might be safe from other chemicals like pesticides, but
Right.
when they have done testing, there hasn't been much of a difference between lead levels in organic food versus non-organic food. That is a really great question, because a lot of people think, well, it's organic, it must be
I
more
know.
safe on all levels. Well, and I'm sure there are certain things that they are able to filter out, but because it's in the ground and a lot of those vegetables and fruits like yams or potatoes or carrots are in the ground, it's very difficult to filter that out when they're growing, because it's just even if we wash them, it's not just the outside, it's inside also that you're going to see the levels of lead, or that it's been exposed or kind of, I guess, absorbed. I'm not able to explain it very well because I'm not a scientist or work in that, but my understanding is that, there are certain vegetables that are especially those that are grown in the ground that have a little bit higher risk. Even baby food can have certain level of lead. It is very difficult to get rid of it completely, but they do a lot of testing, especially for any food that is supposed to be eaten by young children or babies. They try to do a lot more testing to make sure at least the lead level is as low as possible. It's still not low enough, because even that small amount can sometimes cause effects in a child, even if it is under, the legal amount of lead in food.
Okay, thank you so much. You clarifying that. We had a meeting, training on Wednesday, and it was very, very nice. That one of the nonprofit leaders, that's her goal and her mission and vision is just doing plant gardening, like you do your own garden, like at home and things like that, and trying to share and show people. And I was surprised too when she talked about, like, even you go to organic store, you're still dealing with the chemicals, Yeah. But thank you so much for clarifying that. How about Tulua Siu? Tulua, do you have any question or anything? You're just kind of quiet, but if you have anything, please raise your hand. Tulua?
No, I don't have anything. I'm
Fafitai?
just listening.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't have
All right.
anything really. So
Yeah. Even if you don't have any questions, but if you have anything to share about, like we're all learning about, how to prevent chemicals in our everyday life, Fun. Oh, I see somebody's raising hand. Is that Lupe?
Yeah, yes, Sylvia, sorry. Sorry,
Lupe
Miss Evan.
Talamoni?
No, don't be sorry. I'm glad you have questions.
I have my group that are talking to me and they're asking me, texting me because they were seeing it on the Facebook right now that we're living right now. And then because of they said there's some of them that are going through their their dietary. They said there's a risk is there a risk that going through exposure that the dietary of their food that they're doing right now? First, they said because of the food that they're taking as organic, like you mentioned, the dietary exposure, they wanted to know how can they be protected for that unintentional because of the PFAS is now through everything. Is there a wise advice for us? What kind of dietary that we need to take so we won't be exposed for those?
That is a really great question. And I would say, especially for young children, having a diet that is rich in vitamins and minerals, what you typically would get suggestions from your pediatrician or doctor, high calcium, that's going to be able to protect, at least provide a little bit of protection from your body absorbing lead, especially, and I can't speak to other toxic chemicals. And sometimes a big question is, well, even if there's none in the food, a lot of it is in the cookware that we're using. So definitely try to get cookware that is stainless steel or cast iron. That is the most safe. And also even the utensils that you're using, so like spoons or spatulas or anything like that, you want to also make sure that those don't have any PFAS. And a lot of times if you buy them, if they are dark in color, my understanding, if they're black or dark in color, a lot of times those have a little bit higher risk because that means that they've kind of mixed plastics together. But if you look for silicone or other ones and you look on the label that it says PFAS free, and it kind of gives you that guarantee that oftentimes you can trust that a little bit more and maybe get something that is wooden or silicone that is light colored and not dark colored is kind of what I have heard is safer. And then also for your plates, the food where we're serving the food on, we want to make sure that we're using safe things. So again, trying not to use ceramic plates or plates with lots of colorful like painting and designs on them, because over time that if there is lead in the paint or in like the gloss that they use, that will get leaked into the food that we're eating. So a lot of times there are certain brands that will say, we have tested this is safe, non-toxic, no lead. Oftentimes it's a little safer to just use plain glass clear plates as opposed to the really beautiful adorned ones, because again you're making it a little bit more risky because we don't know what's in a lot of those paints or the gloss. And sometimes they're coming from other countries that they didn't necessarily get tested on anything, or they have been in circulation or for a very long time before some of the paint was outlawed. And I believe that paint house paint was outlawed in 1978. I don't believe that there is really strong laws against lead in other kinds of paints. That's still also kind of a work in progress.
Thank you. I got one more, please, Miss Sylvia.
Yeah, go ahead.
They said because of the critical need for the mitigation, especially during critical windows of exposure, such as pregnancy and lactation. And one of them said, ask, because I'm breastfeeding my child, how can you protect us from affecting because we're eating and what we produce is giving out to our children? How can we be protected from that?
That is a really great question, and what I will be able to do too is share in the comments as well. I'll look for the video. If you go to the King County website, and then also the state has a similar website, they give you kind of a list and a brochure of all the things that you can kind of protect yourself from, because the best thing to do is prevention, because once you do have high levels of lead, there's not any kind of easy cure, and sometimes it can kind of recirculate in your body for a long time. So the best thing to do is reduce or have less exposure or prevent ourselves from either eating or being around. Even you can breathe it in as well. So if you're around locations, especially here in King County, where there's a lot of dust, a lot of the dirt around us is full of lots of toxic chemicals and metals. And so they go into really great detail about how to prevent yourself from all of those things. And also, if you have any concern, you can always ask your doctor to get that test. If you are concerned and you're like, I have used some of these things, I would like to know what my blood lead test is or level is, you can ask your pediatrician. And if they kind of try to convince you otherwise, try to definitely insist and let them know that you would like a test and you would like to see what your blood levels are. And then that way you can also put your mind at ease. And then if it is high, they can kind of help to give recommendations of how to reduce it. Because everyone is a little bit different as far as what products they use and where they're exposed, and also like what year the house or apartments you live in can also be a reason as well. Because I lived in apartments and I didn't know they were old because they had been remodeled, but they were like from the 1960s. And I thought that they were newer because they had remodeled them. So sometimes you can check and see how old the building you are in is, and also take different precautions if you see paint chipping or you see dust coming in to the home. Try to make sure that you're cleaning it up frequently with a wet rag, as opposed to doing kind of dry dusting around.
Thank you.
Did it answer your question, Lupe?
Yes, they're very satisfied because she works with clay and sorbent, and that's the reason why she asked more of that, because she's afraid of the clay that she used for her work, and it's going to be affected her child and herself. But thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Yeah, and there are certain professions that they're just exposed more to things like lead. People who work with chemicals, people who work in paint or construction fields, or anything having to do with like metal or manufacturing. A lot of times they have a little bit higher risks. And so definitely, as someone who is pregnant, you want to make sure, see what your level is, especially since you feel like you have regular exposure to it, and then try to figure out from there, maybe it's wearing a mask, maybe it's just washing your hands more, that you can kind of prevent some of that, so that you're not getting it inside your body.
Okay. Thank you. Pastor Paulina?
Yes, someone is just asking, is there a risk in using aluminum foils? In the Pacific, this is something that we use mostly to cover our foods, which goes to the oven. Yeah, that's the question. Is there a risk of using aluminum foils?
Now, even though we say aluminum pans are not safe, typically aluminum foil has been safe. It's just the process that is used and the way that it is manufactured. So that is a really great question, because it's like, why is aluminum pans not safe, but aluminum foil is? So yes, aluminum foil is typically more safe and considered a much lower risk. It's made from aluminum, and again, aluminum doesn't naturally have lead in it. It's when they mix it with the other metals and in the manufacture process that the pans end up having lead in them. So aluminum, a little bit of aluminum foil, it should be okay. And again, a lot of times you also want to be careful how hot it's getting. I don't know a lot about it, but if it is getting really hot, again, you might want to look into what the temperature you're using is, and if that is causing any extra risk because of the smoke or anything like that. But I don't know very much about that aspect.
Thank you, Danielle. As it's about like 2:43 right now, and we'll just take a little 20-second here just to pause, for a little music, the sound, the breeze sound from the island's paradise. Job, everybody, learning more about the chemicals.
Yes, man. Somebody move tonight. All right. Shout out to Buddy People Dance.
Must be the money. Watch out, I should get it. Hey, must be the money. Run it out. Watch out, I should get it. Hey, must be the money. Run it out.
The gunmen are made, the boiling mind belong from a 2019. Well, I know she's from the down below. Come and give me one below. Like, yeah. I wanna make you mine, oh. Baby, you better die on you. I with your girly hair long. You'll be 2020. Needs to look like Lotto. Get it, hit up, get up, do ya auto, guanne de gambo. Get it, hila. Girl, my girl, you a killer. Spoiling mind below me every day. Get it, hila. Girl, my girl, you a killer. Oh Lord, have mercy. Give me mommy, bate. Give me mommy, follow me. Oh Lord, have mercy. Hey. No need to worry, girl, don't worry. Come on, mommy, show me that you love me. You beso, me no go leso. Ay, caminando, y como mi dada, como nadita, chivo, get me hila, chivo, mini, animo, bigidi, tandido, guanale, kill me 2020, beat no play no. Get it, hit up, do ya, auto.
Okay, now it's about like 2:46 right now, and thank you everybody for giving us a little time here. Now we're gonna get back to our the leading problem, about learning more about the chemicals and PFAS. And now we have Daniel Sabine that helping us, with the great information to learn more about it. And now, since
Thank you
Leslie,
very much for having me and for giving me the space to talk about this.
yes, is there anything that you wanted to share more before we ask more questions?
I think that you have had some really great questions. And again, I am not an expert on the topic. I have learned a lot of this and share with the community as best as I can. And I think it's very complex in that there is a lot of different areas where you can learn about. I think more than anything, it's finding out about what kind of things you're using that might be at risk, and then maybe using some different things or using certain products less than others so that you can protect yourself.
Okay, all right, thank you. I would like to ask, give this opportunity, this is because of Leslie Tongakamoto representing the younger audience, the younger generation. And again, I mentioned earlier that she's graduating, from University of Washington. So it's going to be more of a lot of information to lead, to share with our younger generation in the PI communities. Leslie, I'd like to give this opportunity to you, to please, I know you're tuning in, you maybe have some other things, it's not just a question, but if you have anything to add on to. Leslie.
To the lead topic or like in general? I don't have anything to really add to like the whole lead topic thing. I just think it's important. As Pacific Islanders, we take the opportunity to like educate ourselves and to find people with the information that we need, like we have today. But yeah.
Oh, thank you, Leslie, for the
Mm,
word of encouragement. Yeah. I
thank you.
saw Latu Huakau is one of our co-hosts. She's asking, is the Ziploc okay?
Oh, yeah. And again, Ziploc bags or plastic kind of bags to store food typically are going to be very safe and will not have any lead in them, especially, but some plastics might have other kind of chemicals, but typically Ziploc bags or food storage bags are going to be very safe.
Oh, I see. Thank you so much. And I have another person that texts in, from the islands of Fiji, Chris Bretan. She's asking, what about the cosmetic that we're using, like cream, lotion, soap that we use in our body? Are those are safe, like you put a lot of cream in your body and all those things? Are those are safe or that can also be chemical?
There can also be different chemicals. For example, a lot of times they have found lead in things like lipstick or in eyeliner. They haven't done a whole lot of testing on that as yet because, or at least the results have not been shared widely. I would say there are certain websites, and I will share some of the links in the live video where you can kind of check and see how safe certain products are. As anything, even though it goes on our eyes or on our lips, it doesn't seem that that is a really high priority as far as like people are getting lead poisoning or really high levels because of those things. But it's definitely, you want to be careful about which products you're using and maybe seek out products that they are actively testing, or they can give you some sort of guarantee that there's no harmful chemicals or PFAS or lead in them. But that is, again, something that right now there's not a lot of laws that protect us from some of those products. And right now, a lot of those agencies aren't required to test or to share what dangerous chemicals or if there's lead levels in them. So that's something that, again, our government, our legislators, and organizations like King County Public Health are trying to work so that there is more transparency and more information so that you can make good decisions about what products to buy.
Okay, thank you so much, Danielle. Okay, the other question here that is asking, what about, the water bottle? Those water, sometimes they warn us, if you put a bottle in a car and it's hot, it's also cause cancer. But what about any water bottle? Is it safe or it's not safe to, to drink those water bottle? Does it have chemicals on those plastic bottle?
Typically, bottled water that's sold in the U.S. is regulated by the FDA.
Right.
And so they test the water. They want to make sure that it's put in safe packaging. Typically, it's considered pretty safe. And even water that we get from the faucet typically has been pretty safe as well. However, sometimes it depends on the pipes or like the plumbing that is in a certain home or in a school that is causing the high levels of lead. And so that is a lot of people choose to get bottled water because they want it to be safer. And typically, the plastics sometimes in general are not really safe to have, but, trying to keep that in mind when, weighing how good is it for the environment to have the plastic bottles, or to maybe have a filter on the faucet so that it's kind of filtering out the lead is oftentimes more recommended than buying bottled water. One, because of the plastic, and then two, just the harm to the environment because of that plastic, even if it's recycled, is going to be in our environment for a very long time.
Okay, thank you so much, Danielle. Hopefully, all the listeners and the audience, are tuning in. I hope that you get all the information. As we're approaching, we only got 7 more minutes to go. And, yeah, I'm sorry, Lupe? Oh, Paulina.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes. I would just like to ask, can you share with us some of the symptoms of lead poisoning? Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really great question. One thing that you need to remember is not everyone, even children who have lead poisoning, are going to show these symptoms. So even though it is good to know them, some children that have high levels of lead don't show any symptoms at all. So the best way is to actually get them tested if you feel like they have been using any of the products that we've been talking about. But some of the symptoms could be hyperactivity, stomach problems, like they might have constipation, they might have an upset stomach, they might not be very hungry. Also, like some behavior issues, like aggression, or again, difficulty concentrating. It can also cause difficulty with hearing, and a lot of things that could seem like other issues. So that's where it gets tricky when you look at the symptoms, because it could be a lot of things. If a child's having an upset stomach, it could be a lot of things, not just lead poisoning. So that's where it's a little tricky to figure out if a child has lead poisoning without getting them actually tested. But those would be some of the main symptoms. Also, just kind of somebody who is very tired or lethargic, or not able to kind of has very low energy. But again, all of those things could be many other things. So it's best, if you're seeing some of those things, to talk to your doctor. And if you want to rule out lead poisoning, then definitely ask them. One thing as well is any child who has developmental delays or disabilities, even very young children who need speech therapy, it is also recommended that they also get a lead test, just to rule that out as a possibility.
Hi, Paulina. Did it answer your question?
Yes, Sylvia, thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Sabine.
Now I have welcome. This is another girl from Bulaland. Hi, Mary Fisi.
Hi, everybody.
Popular in the
Hi.
Fijian community, yeah? Thank you, Mary Fisi. That's another broadcaster from the Paradise Islands of Fiji. Mary, do you have any question about, regarding about the, about chemicals, we're just talking about like how we're dealing, in the thing that we cook our food on, and
Yeah.
vegetables, fruit,
Yeah. I was just thinking a long time ago, I read something on Facebook regarding lead poisoning that could lead to some of the symptoms that you were describing. Most of us drink herbal tea and the plastics that that are compacted in herbal teas. How about those sacks? How about those pouch?
So the reason why some people might make a connection between herbal teas and lead is because a lot of the ingredients are from, again, plants and things that have grown in soil, and soil is typically where a lot of the lead is when we're growing plants or vegetables or anything like that. So it is important to kind of take that into consideration. It depends on a lot of things. I don't know very much specifically about that, but that would be a really good thing, perhaps for Public Health King County to look into. It's not something that I have heard is a really high risk as far as people drinking tea and being exposed to lead, but there is always a risk with anything that comes from the soil, for it to have a certain amount of lead, especially in certain regions or certain kind of soils as well. But I'm not very knowledgeable about that, I could say, but I have not heard that is really high risk in the list of items.
Yeah, I'm more focused on the pouch that these herbal teas are kept in. Yes, those are plastics, aren't they?
A lot of times I've seen that they're kind of paper. So at least what I know about teas is there's more risk of the actual herbs like chamomile or lemongrass or mint. The actual plant will probably contain more lead than the packaging or the little container. But that will actually vary depending on what kind of brand and thing that you're buying, because at least the ones that I've seen are kind of more of a paper consistency or cloth like. But I know some places sell a little bit more fancy maybe and have plastic ones.
Okay.
Did it answer your question, Marifisi?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so
Yes.
much. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Okay, I have one more. I know that our time is approaching. We only got 1 more minute left. Okay, that's the question that was asking, what about the perfume? Do you know that we got the perfume and then we spray it around, Are those safe, or that also has chemicals in it that can be harmful to our health?
Oftentimes that's what I have heard, is that perfume and anything with some sort of scent or smell that's not natural will definitely have some dangerous chemicals in it.
Right.
I'm not, again, really knowledgeable about that. As far as exposing you to lead, not likely, it's not high risk, but there are other chemicals and things that are in a lot
In
of the
it,
products that
right.
smell really nice. And I know that Washington state government is, like some other states as well, trying to have manufacturers either list out what the chemicals are, and so we know more about them, because some of them can cause cancer, they can cause fertility issues, and right now there's not enough testing to know what's in them and maybe long-term effects. So I couldn't speak to individual or how to know if something is more safe or less safe, but typically anything with fragrance, they're using chemicals that they mix together to get that smell.
So in the meantime, if you have perfume or anything, when is the best time to spray and where to spray it, Do you have anything
what
to
I have heard-
recommend?
Yeah, and again, I don't know a whole lot, but just from some very little research that I've done, is try to use in very small amounts. So trying not to use way too much or overwhelming amount. Try to use maybe just a little bit on your wrist, a little bit on your neck, but try not
I
to spray
see.
it all over you, so you're not breathing it constantly.
Right.
And try to maybe see if there is any information about the brands that you buy. Sometimes there are studies or there is some information about how safe they are. But I think for right now, some people have skin sensitivities or allergies to them. And long-term, they might cause issues with breathing and things like that. So I think with any kind of fragrance, we want to be careful about how much we use and maybe where we're putting it as well.
Yeah.
And I know in the European Union, they do have a ban on a lot of the fragrances and some companies that we have here. And so,
Yeah.
you know, they're a little bit more strict on some of the products and things that they let people buy or that they sell. So I think it is also important to know that all of the chemicals and fragrance and things like that that we are using day to day could have an effect on our health.
Yeah. And especially on women's health that I have been really focused on, you know, what we use for women, what we do, you know. And also, is there a way I can just request for my community to have somebody from the public health to speak on that?
I can definitely put in a message and also be in contact with the group that I work with and see who would be able to come out, because I'm sure that they would have somebody or public health educators that would be willing to come out and talk to your group.
Okay, great. And Sylvia has all my info. Okay.
Perfect.
Well, it looks like, you know, we have, we go over, it's 3 minutes after 3. And thank you so much, you know, this is just like a little quick question, you know, about like, I know that my husband does a lot of concrete work and all those kind of stuff. And they do like some remodeling, you know, like just like maybe in a home, whatever. So do you advise for them to wear a mask because of all this dust and demolition and all those kind of stuff? Do you know?
Yeah.
Pesticides.
Yes, for sure. They need to protect themselves. And so definitely wearing as much safety equipment that they can so they're not breathing that in. But also when they come home, what is also recommended is, if it's possible, to change their clothes before they get in the car, because a lot of times all that
I see.
residue from their
Right.
clothes is going to be floating
you.
around in the car. Or when they come home, they're bringing it with them. So if they wash those clothes, wash them separately from everyone else's clothes, or immediately take off when they get home, take off those dirty clothes, or before they even get into their car, if possible, just because because of how all of the dust and things like that work,
Yes.
a lot of times over time it will kind of build up in our car, in our home. And especially where there's young children around, it's good to prevent them from breathing in anything that they're bringing home.
Thank you. Very good advice, and I will let them know, because they've been working like almost like 6 days a week, you know, and that's very important, you know, to change before they hop in the car, or any just like change before they even come home, you know, so they don't bring all those chemicals with them. Okay, thank you so much, you know, Danielle, and thank you, you know, to all the those on our chemical discussion, you know, Pastor Paulina, Lupe Talamoni, and our young generation representative, the upcoming graduation from UW, Leslie Tonga Kamoto. Yeah. And then also Merefisi, and Fanaya Amasaru, Msaru. Thank you so much, you know, for joining us. You know, you were just like staying quiet, but otherwise, you know, that I'm sure that everybody are tuning in, you know. And thank you, Latu Haka, for welcoming everybody, you know, because of the great topic discussion. And this is very, very relevant for our people to learn from. Thank you, Daniel. And anybody could say something in Tonga, malo aupito. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, Paulina,
Pinakawakalevu in Fijian.
Merefisi,
Pinakavakalevu.
and Leslie. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Leslie, for joining us. You know, we're so grateful. And all the knowledge and the wisdom that you have, you know, you can always share it. You know, not only you can share it with everybody else, but you share it with mom and dad and your siblings too at home. You know, and Lupe Talamoni.
Thank you so much again, Ms. Danielle. Yeah. I appreciate you for all the sharing and the knowledge that you share with us. Yeah, whaftaitele mo ne avanoa, whaftaitele mo tune in mai, whamanui whea le whasausanga mai whaalongolongo o tātou tangata anu i Samoa, o le sosoani ane public health por soifua maloloina mo tātou, tausinga soifua maloloina. Whaftai Fatima.
Thank you so much, Lupe. And Lupe is one of the King County public health navigator. Thank you also. And also, we just wanted to remind everybody, Lupe, about the upcoming healthy lifestyle that you have. Can you share that so with the listeners and the audience?
On the Juneteenth that we're having coming up next week, Thursday, everybody is welcome to come and join us. We have a free vaccination pop-up clinic, as is shown up there on our flyer by the Voice of Pacific broadcast. Please come join us. It starts at 9 to 1. It's a free clinic, and we have some gifts and also for a box of foods for everybody that come in and join in. All ages are accepted, and invitations for everyone. Pacific Islander, not Pacific Islanders, y'all family with us. So we have food for everybody. So come in and join on June 19 at Celebration Park in Federal Way from 9 to 1. Thank you so much again, Ms. Fatima. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lupe, for sharing. Healthy living, healthy lifestyle is on next week, Tino, a week from today. Okay, thank you, everyone. And Daniel, behalf of Pacific Islanders broadcast and our communities abroad, thank you so much for sharing this great information. We're looking for some more program like in the future to educate and keep everybody safe in a healthier environment.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, everyone. It was lovely
Thank
meeting
you.
you.
We have this goodbye song right here. Una? Song from the islands of Fiji.
All right.
Toso, toso. Yeah, I want everybody, please everybody, we're going to be paused for an hour and then about like 4:20 we're coming back, and continue on with our other graduates. We wanted to like acknowledge some of our graduates, and we'll share some of our pictures from them. Also, we do have Dr. Pakeli will join us at 5 o'clock today, Pacific time. Dr. Pakeli will talk about healthy lifestyle. Yes, Daniel Sabine, yes, that's exactly. Here's the page with more information.